Well, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Totally Amazing Mushrooms. You know, I gotta say, it's been a weird year for the fungi. Like last year, you know, the chanterelles were everywhere. You couldn't take a couple of steps without stepping on them. This year, they're so hard to find. And same with a bunch of the other different species out there. But on the other hand, this year, I have found more Blewits out in the bush than I ever have. I have found more honeys out there than I ever have. I'm finding more capanoides out there than I ever have. And, well, it just keeps my baskets full. And that's what we like. So come for a walk with us, see what we can see. And in this corner, the one, the only, Jumbo Jim. Yes, my friends, this is the Jumbo Jim, Gymnopolis ventricosus. Let's get in a little bit closer here. Now, recent studies, it is a complex like many, and it contains many species like the spectabilis, the voitkii, the magnus, and I think that even the subspectabilis is also in there too. Yeah, just amazing, these guys. Look at the size of them. Just absolutely beautiful. They can get to the size of dinner plates. I'm just going to pop one of these big guys up. Come on. They are monstrous. There we go. Look at the size of this banana. Wow. So my fingertips are at the apex of the stipe and it goes right down. These guys are saprotrophic. They're going to be mowing down on this Abies here, I'm assuming. It's also next to a Doug fir too, so it's could be hit its roots as well. Who knows? But wow, yeah. So like the spectabilis and the Junornius, which I believe are the same ones, apparently in Europe and Australasia and South America, they are apparently all the same species, but once you get into North America, everything changes a bit. So these are not those guys. Now they do have a rusty brown spore print, and you can see kind of the remnants of a ring zone-ish there. And yeah, so they're just yeah, so they've got a rusty brown spore print. And because of that, they could be possibly confused for like some of the smaller Gallerinas. But I mean, they're so small and it's such a big difference. When these guys are in button form, they could be mistaken for the Phaeolepiota aureus. But they live on the ground and not like these guys can be growing right out of a dead tree or a stump, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Also, the Phaeolepiota also has kind of like a yellowy brown spore print. It's a little bit different. But look at these guys. They can get up to the size of dinner plates, believe it or not. Yeah, just wild. And you can see that the stipe swells as it goes down, and then it tapers out again when it gets down to the bottom. And these guys like the shade, and they like it damp, which they've got all of that here. So they do have, apparently, in them, which is giving them cause to do more testing on them, but they do have some antioxidant properties and antimicrobial. So more work's going to be done on these guys. And I've also got a shot of some buttons of these ones from a different spot. These ones here, I was going to film about a week and a half ago, but they were still in tiny button form, and they took forever to get to this point. And they're still in magnificent shape. So, yeah, a week and a half, and they're still going. And they're still growing. And there's apparently 250 different described species in the Gymnopolis genus. But yeah, just you can understand why they would call these guys the Jumbo Jim. Again, like, here we go. And my apologies if I'm going out of focus and whatnot. I've got an old camera, and I sometimes get excited while I'm out here, and I move too fast and makes things a little bit blurry. So I'm trying to go a little bit slower. But yeah, these beauties. And there's a lot of them here too. Pretty amazing. And oh, also they're not edible either. They're bitter as all sin. So yeah, but I just get so amazed by some of the big flushes of these guys, though. They're just beautiful. Anyways, yeah. And this one you can actually see the rusty brown spore print on the ring there of this guy here. The other one I completely, when I was pulling him out of the mound there, I kind of ripped all his ring off, so his ring remnants. But yeah, they prefer their conifers, but they will totally settle for a hardwood. And there are a lot of Cortinarius that these guys could be mistaken for, including the jack-o'-lantern actually. But the jack-o'-lantern apparently does not grow in these parts. So, but that's about all I have on these guys, so we'll carry on down the trail. Here's some more of the jumbo Jims. You can see the size of these guys, how big they can get. You know, I mean, they're quite monsters. Yep, just pull one out. And you can see how they taper down at the base there. Yeah, wow. This one's a little bit older, and you can see that the base swells out quite a bit from these guys. And yeah, so this is another cool flush of them. And they'll even be growing on the tops of the stumps, and they're kind of almost kind of scaly-ish a little bit. They're really, it's raining right now, and they're not showing up as much as I would like, but yeah, these guys you can maybe see a little bit better. But either way, so this was just a continuation of the other Jims on a totally different spot. But cool, yeah, they're just going crazy here. A little tiny tree frog here. Just a little guy. Hey, fella. How are you? Hey. Oop. I love froggies. They're just awesome. Size of my thumb. It looks like this is another forest agaric, I believe. This might even be, you can tell by the pink gills there, and they're going to have a nice brown spore print. This might be the Buckmassodii. I'm not totally sure on that. Could be the Deerdorfensis. Sniff. Yeah, not sure, but it's not really staining up top yellow. Pretty positive it's not the Xanthodermis, and it's not near as robust as those Hondensis. We got the stipe here. See what happens with the base of the stipe. Of course, if I drop them, not going to happen. And definitely a very strong phenolic smell. Creosote kind of smell. Like, it's kind of like a school laboratory is what it reminds me of. Like having the formaldehydes and all the other chemicals in there, but it is slowly staining yellow. Again, not sure exactly which species, but like I said, it could be the Buckmassodii, could be the Deerdorfensis, but it's not the Hondensis. I know that because it's got different kind of cap. It's not near as robust, and you can see these little tiny fibrils on the caps there. Yeah, but the smell is what gives these guys away, and their pink gills, which will turn brown eventually. So either way, just spotted this guy out of the corner of my eye, and we're gonna carry on. I think we have a little Grossobies down here by the looks of things, little waxy caps. Not sure which one this is. Oh yeah, these beautiful colors. If it starts to blacken, then we've got the blackener. And oh yeah, it's already going black, just barely touching it, and she's blackening. So this is most likely Hygrossobie conica, or in a group of that. the blackener. Yeah, they're classified as edible, but why bother? You know, they're pretty small, and they're just too pretty. There's many different hygroscopies and stuff like that. This is the one that blackens the most. As you can see how black it went. The entire stipe has gone black. So there we go, the Conifer. There's another little friend right there, and probably many more throughout here. But yeah, cool. Always a nice little find. Wow, just almost stepped on this big beast. Same color as the leaves here. Wow, look at this monster. This, my friends, is one of the honey mushrooms. This is Armillaria ostoye, or solidipes, and we'll go into that in a little bit. You can see that these got some partial ring remnants there. This guy's quite done, and they can get quite tough as they get old. Now, can you see at the very base of the stipe here? Let's try and get this to focus. This yellow, a little bit of yellow fuzz kind of there. So that's indicative of these guys. And they'll have rhizomorphs coming off of them. They've got, so what rhizomorphs are, is they're basically corded up mycelium, and it just scoots all through the forest floor, and it tries to find the next food source, you know, and they can get very big. As a matter of fact, the largest living biomass in the world is actually in Oregon, and that is the Armillaria ostoye, or solidipes. And actually, this thing is amazingly, it's like 3.5 square miles. It's like crazy, and it may even be 2,500 years old. That's just crazy. And the second biggest one in Michigan, which I believe is the Gallica, that one's only 91 acres or something like that, 92 or 93 or something like that, but still huge nonetheless. Isn't that crazy? So many fungi just have so many benefits to them, just awesome, and they're all different. And when they're young, like you're going to want to use the young buttons, obviously not these guys here, besides they've been mowed on by slugs or bugs or whatever. You can take the stipe and peel it with like a potato peeler, and you can get to the cottony insides, and we'll just rip this guy open a little bit. You can see how cottony he is on the inside here. Very soft. Almost want to lay your head on it and go to sleep. Yeah, and oh, and by the way, they're called honey mushrooms due to their color. It's not due to their flavor. And there's a bunch more in here. You can see here, and they're all clustered up there. And a couple of singles. And again, those guys are too far gone. But where there are large ones, there will be young'uns. So we've just got to search them out. And we'll continue talking about these guys in a minute. So I literally walked 10 feet. So I found this guy there, and here are some young'uns. And they're clustered together. There might even be more at the base, and you can see that. They've got quite the club base to them of their stipe there, and you can see that they've got these kind of scales, or fibrils, that look like scales on their cap there. And this is about the size that you're going to want to harvest these guys here. And I'm just pulling them up so that we can have a booski at them. Again, can you see the yellow at the base of the stipe there? And here we can get, try and get a shot of the base here. Some of these are pieces of fir needle and some of them are pieces of moss, but you can see they've got like a cottony kind of veil there. It's very delicate. You can just barely pull it apart with your fingers there. And they're just separating. And these guys are about prime in size. Looks like a bug's already found them and went in one side and right out the other. Oh, there's the hole on the other side there. Wow. Yeah, these guys are amazing. They've got lots of goodness to them. And let's get into that. Now the honeys, they've got loads of health benefits. Not as many as like the Cantharellus or the Craterellus for that matter, but they do have a lot. They're quite high in the polysaccharides, and different ones can modulate your immune system. And they also have antioxidant effects, which, like those will scavenge free radicals, which do damage to our DNA. And they also have antimicrobial qualities too, I believe. Now they do have a compound in them that helps protect our brain and our neuron functions. And it does this by reducing the protein buildup in our brain. And they believe that this could have potential in helping Alzheimer's patients in the future. But also, like, they can actually help control your blood sugars and slow or even stop cancer cell growth. So that's wild, and that's one of the things that are just amazing about having those polysaccharides in these guys. And they've also got beta-glucans, which are other forms of polysaccharides, and polyphenols as well. But, you know, they've got fiber in them, they've got calcium, they've got vitamin C, and they also have beneficial effects for our eyesight, for our vision. Yeah, just amazing. And they are mostly prefer the Doug firs, and like this one here. But they will go to hardwoods. They are parasitic. So these guys will attack. Their rhizomorphs will find a nice live root, and they will attack it and start to eventually kill off the tree. So for the forest industry, if they were wanting to try and kill these off from attacking certain trees or a certain forest, they can introduce the Hyphiloma fasciculare mycelium, and they will boot out these guys, and they will just continue eating the dead wood, and these guys will be gone, so they're not killing off the trees. We're in a different part of the forest here, and you can see we've got more of these guys, and there's a bunch more back there that are older. Now, this forest here is a mixed forest. There's alder trees, there's Doug firs, there's cedars like this one here, there's balsams, and well, there's even the English holly. But funnily enough, these guys all seem to be congregating around the alders. But the thing is that the roots of these guys expand out so far, and they could be crossing over other roots. So you may be thinking that, oh, well, it's growing off of this tree, but actually one of the roots of a totally different species is growing underneath it or alongside it or whatever, and it's actually growing off of that. Now the thing with these guys is not only will they grow on the roots and everything, they'll even start growing up the tree. And this guy's about 2 feet up the tree. Now I just harvested a few from the very bottom here. But look at this. These guys, we'll pull one off. Just taking my gloves off here because I was getting so many thorns in my fingers from the blackberry vines. Look at this. Ooh. Absolutely prime. Prime, prime, prime. And he's got a friend right in there. Now I looked at my other Blewit spot just earlier and I couldn't find anything, but this is my one other one. These, look at these beautiful, beautiful creatures. These are one of my aesthetically pleasing favorite mushrooms for sure. This is the wood blewit, Colibia nuda. Had many, many names. Lepista nuda, Tricholoma, and also Agaricus and Clitosobe. But these guys are just one of my faves. They're very hard to see with these little brown, especially when they're under moss like this one here. Yeah, beautiful. They're just popping up, just popping up. And oh, I just love these guys. They're so good, and they're all in through here. This is awesome. Oh, little dog. Yeah, you never mind, sweetheart. It's just somebody walking. I know, she's very friendly. So these guys are amazing, amazing. They're going to be chewing down on this leaf litter and twigs and wood, dead wood stuff underneath all this moss and dirt. But these guys are actually just, you know, they're loaded with good stuff. They've got antioxidant qualities, they've got anti-tumor qualities and antiviral qualities. And these guys have certain polysaccharides, and they're loaded with them. And they have had 70 to 87% success on breaking down certain cancer cells. And of course they've got beta-glucans, and they've got flavonoids and all these other good things in them too, plus loads of minerals and vitamins. And of course they're loaded with fiber and protein, and low in fat. But yeah, they're just beautiful little nubs right now. This is the perfect time. I love them. Most people out in the forest that forage for mushrooms love them, and the bugs love them. So do the slugs. So when you get them, when you find them at this stage, you want to grab them. And it's getting dark too, so nice. I'm so happy I found these. Now, of course, the Columbian nudas, they will vary in color. And also you'll notice that they have their little rim when they're buttons that kind of rolls in. And but yeah, throughout their life stage, they can go through different color stages. And oh, here's another little one right down here. And yeah, they're just absolutely beautiful, and they love the needle duff and everything and all that. And apparently they transplant very well. You can take the whole stipe, take the base of the stipe, because the top part you're going to want to eat, as well as the cap, and have the little bits of mycelium and the needle duff in there. Throw them into a blender, throw a bit of water and some honey in there, and you can sprinkle it on stuff like this, needle duff and twigs, and they're apparently very good at taking to that. Oh, you can also, if you've got a bunch of wood chips at home and you find these guys, do the same thing. Grind them up, put them into a slurry, and you can put them in the wood chips, and they quite often will take to that. And there are a swack of Cortinarius genus. There's so many that look so identical. Balteatus is another one that looks very, very identical to it, cap and everything. But the Cortinarius have a cortina. They've got a veil, a Cortinarius little cobwebby veil. The nudas do not. Also, the Cortinarius have a rusty brown spore print. These guys actually have a creamy to kind of pinkish kind of spore print. But wow, does that Cortinarius balteatus ever look the same as these? Minus, of course, like I said, the cortina in there. So yeah, beautiful. So we're gonna see how many we can grab and get them into our basket. This is what I mean when I say we're having a weird year with the chanterelles. I mean, they're just little buttons. They're not anything to write home about. This patch here, last year, I was pulling out monsters like the size of my hand. There is one kind of trying to creep out here a little bit. Might be a bit bigger. Oh, it looks a little bit bigger. Beautiful. Nice. Yes, this is a beauty. Now I am seeing tufts all dug up like that one there and that one there. I'm assuming the deer have been coming in and just taking the buttons, and then they're just not growing up to be anything, and the ones that get left behind are just these little blokes here. That's only 4. I do have a fridge full of fungi, so it's not a big deal, but either way, these guys will get put in with the mix. Oh, here's another one trying to creep out too by the looks of things. But tiny, like, again. Boom. That's it. That's it. It's crazy. So there's 5 little guys. Not even a meal, but, you know, you can make a sandwich or something out of them after you cook them. Well, well, well. Looks like we got a nice flush of some smoky gills, some Hypholoma capnoides. They're also called the Conifer tuft, and you probably hear a bag rustling in the background here because there's a reason for that. These guys are absolutely yummy. Love them, and they can have, you'll see sometimes, little remnants of a partial veil there as little dog just walked all over the mushrooms up the log. And they can have like a wispy little cobwebby kind of partial veil in there. We'll see if we can find a really young one, and maybe it'll have one there. So let's take a boo. And Yeah, now hopefully we can make this out. There's a little tiny bit of that Cortinarius veil in there. And these guys do have a toxic look-alike, and that's the sulfur tuft. And that's what I've got in my little bag because, you know me, I like doing my comparisons. Alright, well, let's pull up one of these guys. And you can kind of see why they're called the smoky gill. You can see how those gills are smoky. I'm just trying to pull this other one out of the bag. And this one here is the actual Hypholoma fasciculare. Look at how similar they are. Now the Hypholoma fasciculare has this very, very yellowy highlighter pen kind of color to them. And these guys, when they're very young, their gills will be kind of whitish to somewhat pale yellow. But here's one of the neat things, is we showed last time the sulfur tuft at night and what they look like. I'm just going to take off his stipe there. And how that they glow in the dark with UV lights. Well, you can see here, this one is not. So the Capnoides does not have that same luminescent qualities to them. I'm trying to get colors to show up here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so quite the difference there. Their stipes are pretty much the same. The sulfur tuft can get a little bit of a darker brown, but they do brown out, as you can see here on these guys. These guys, I love them. They are very, they got a mild flavor to them. They're very delicate, but they're absolutely delicious. Now, of all the edible mushrooms out there, these guys are actually one of the lowest in calories, like way low in calories, and super high in protein, and super high, move that bag again, and super high in fiber, and super high in protein. Now these guys also have many, many antioxidants, okay? And it's because these guys are loaded with phenols, vitamin E, and the B complexes. Okay, so those are all going to be helping in the antioxidant form. They're going to actually scavenge the free radicals that attack our DNA and whatnot. They can also help carry fats through our system without leaving plaque on our artery walls and everything as well, which is really awesome. Now these guys are also really super high in so many minerals. They're loaded in magnesium, they're loaded in calcium and potassium and iron, and way, way higher than your fruits and vegetables and many, many of your agricultural crops and everything like that. And they also found, in one report, they found 9 different sesquiterpenes. And I believe 6 of them had never been described before, and they were unknown. And what was neat about those is that they had a very unique skeletal system of carbons as compared to the other sesquiterpenes. Now all these sesquiterpenes, now they're going to give rise to antibacterial, antiviral, anti-malarial, oh God, what else? Oh, antioxidant, like I'd said. Anti-cancerous, there's another one too, because these guys are also loaded in polyphenols as well. So that's really, really awesome. Now they did a lot of testing between these and the fasciculare, which is this guy here, and they found their chemical composition was so similar, except in the phenolic acids and in the sugars. And they're quite different in that way. Now the fasciculare has a couple of different compounds in them that are bad, the fasciculol E and fasciculol F, which are the ones that I believe that give you the gastrointestinal upset and can cause huge problems with your GI system. And another lab result that I found, they did testing on both the Capnoides and the fasciculare, and they took methanoic extracts out of both of them, and they introduced them into mice. So amazingly, at a lower dosage, the fasciculare had no effect on the mice, neither did the Capnoides. When they doubled the dosage of both of them, they started noticing that their respiratory system was getting paralyzed. They were getting tremors and delusional. And then after 5 days, of the ones that were on the extract from the fasciculare, they all died. And when they did an autopsy on them, they were loaded with, in their gastrointestinal tract there, they were loaded with tumors, and they had all kinds of hemorrhaging inside them, and that's what actually ended up killing them in the end, the mice. So yeah, it's very, 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 very toxic, these the sulfur tuft, as opposed to our conifer tufts. Absolutely fabulous. Yeah, so they've got so many good things to them, and like I said, they're not really super mushroomy flavor, but they've got a beautiful, beautiful flavor to them. They're mild. You can use them in so many different ways. Just great. And I think that's all that I can remember from the lab reports that I have read on these guys. But yeah, so it's our Hypholoma capnoides, the conifer tuft, also known as the smoky gill, because of their smoky gills. Just absolutely beautiful. And they're growing on this conifer, as they always do. So we're going to load a bunch of these guys up into our basket. We've already got some Columbia nuda in there, the wood blewits, and we're going to take these guys home because they're just about prime. I'll leave the little buttons to grow another day. And hopefully, next year or the year after, we'll have some Columbia nuda come up in this little grove of dug firs and all their needle duff and twigs and branches and whatnot. Well, what is a person to do with all this fungi? We have the conifer tuft here, the Hypholoma capnoides. We have the wood blewits. This is Columbia nuda. And we have the honey mushrooms, the Armillaria ostoyae, or solidipes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. These guys. Look at these guys. Oh, the smoky gills. And then we've got the Columbia nuda. Look at these. Absolutely beautiful. Well, all I can say about that is I am going to be eating well for the next few days. These guys last a long time in the fridge. You can get away with a couple, 3 days. And same with the honey. Well, not 3 days, but 2 days. These guys have been in there for a day. And these guys need to get eaten fairly quickly. But they're beautiful. They will last overnight, not a problem though. So they'll last a day. But yeah, awesome. So either I'm going to be snarfing or I'm going to be dehydrating. Not sure. Not sure. Maybe a little of both.